Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Markiplier theory. Now, consider this theory kind of like a part 2 to my last one, where I talk about Celine and her connection towards Darkiplier. And in that last theory, we were left with one very big, kind of lore retconning question. And that question was, on the final chapter of Who Killed Markiplier, if we rose back from the dead as Celine, looking like Celine, then how did the Colonel not notice? We can tell that he doesn't even think we look like Celine because of what he says as he's walking off away from us. He yells out Damien and Celine's name, asking them to come out as if this was some sort of prank. Now, why would he call out Celine's name if we already looked like Celine right in front of him? I did come up with a couple solutions in my last theory, but at the end of the day, all of them had some detail or something that proved them wrong. But now I think I finally have the answer to this question that I've been pondering for a couple days now. So now, let me set the scene. Celine wakes up in some sort of black void. The last thing she remembers is attempting to do some sort of satanic ritual that involved both Damien and the evil house. She slowly starts to figure out that she is inside of her own mind. Well, more specifically, her own mind inside of a different body, inside of the DA's body. She starts to take control of the body itself, and as she takes control, she realizes that the body doesn't look like the DA anymore. It looks like herself. Once she can actually see into the real world, she ends up seeing the Colonel with his back towards her, walking away. At this point, she remembers what Actor Mark has done. She remembers what she has done, and she also remembers that she isn't alone in this body. She's in here with Damien, although unlike her, Damien hasn't woken up yet. So she ends up creating some sort of false reality in her mind that represents some sort of childhood past that they had together. Some sort of past that involved winter and lots of trees. So the TLDR of that whole story is pretty much that Celine didn't gain control of the Darkiplier body until after the Colonel had his back turned. Now, I know there's not really any proof to back up this theory, but I feel like it's the best theory so far that doesn't retcon the lore. And as for who was controlling Darkiplier before Celine took over, I'm willing to bet it was probably just some evil house magic stuff, or maybe just the evil house itself was Darkiplier as it awakened. Now, I know this is a pretty anticlimactic solution to a question that I've been hyping up for a while, but when it comes to the Markiplier lore, I'm not here to give you false hope or any clickbait. I'm here to give you the truth, or at least what I think is the correct information at the time, because going back to my second ever Markiplier theory, that theory was all about how In Space with Markiplier takes place somewhere around Wilford Wharfstash, so we've definitely come a long way since then. However, as I was trying to come up with the solution to the question that I just solved, I might have realized something that would change the way you think of the blue crystal in a heist with Markiplier. Or it might not change how you think of it, because like I said earlier, I'm not here to clickbait you. So it seems like in the Markiplier lore, you can use color coding as a type of way to see who's possessing what, or what's possessing who. Because if you look at Darkiplier, the only reason that he has red and blue kind of shades on him is because red for Celine and blue for Damien. It's just kind of physically or visually telling you that those two souls are possessing him at that moment. So with that said, whenever Heist Markiplier picks up the blue crystal antique, it does a weird kind of color thing where it shows like a green version of it, a blue version of it, and a red version of it. And it just kind of glitches out sort of in a way. You'll be able to see what I mean up on the screen right now. So now my next question is, does this scene right here have any other bigger implications? Does this mean, just kind of like how Darkiplier is color-coded, does this mean that it's possible that something or somebody is possessing the blue crystal? Now, this is like one of the only times we end up seeing this happening to the blue crystal, so if it's not hinted at too much, it might not be that big of a deal. But then again, this is Markiplier's lore we're talking about, and one thing Markiplier seems to do a lot is to barely hint at some of the most important lore details. Okay, so let's say that the blue crystal is being possessed by somebody, then who is it being possessed by? It can't be by Damien or Celine, because we already see Darkiplier in the same room as the blue crystal in one of the other endings. Now also, if it was possessed by somebody, it would be possessed by 3 people, since it was 3 colors, each color representing a different person. But then again, who would those 3 people be? Well, if they had to be anybody, it would probably be 3 people from In Space with Markiplier, since that is whenever we first see the crystal, well, more specifically first in the timeline. But here's the thing, literally just now, as I'm recording this, I just realized that the reason the blue crystal is probably glitching and showing those colors and stuff is because at that point in time, the blue crystal is under the control of Darkiplier, because if you remember, right before a heist with Markiplier starts, we have Darkiplier picking up the blue crystal and kind of inspecting it after the blue crystal just went into the Markiplier lore universe. So the fact that the blue crystal, once it glitched into 3 colors, all of which we end up seeing Darkiplier having on him at some point. More on that later. But, I mean, all of that is probably just Markiplier trying to hint at us that at that point in time, the blue crystal is under the control of Darkiplier. In fact, that might not even be the full crystal. I mean, just look at the size of that compared to the size of the full thing whenever Darkiplier's about to pick it up. It definitely seems like there is a size difference. So maybe that's how Darkiplier is controlling the blue crystal at that point. Maybe he has like the other half of the blue crystal or something, and he's using that to control the part of the blue crystal that you and Heist Mark are holding on to throughout a heist with Markiplier. But now let's take a step back, because earlier I mentioned how all the colors that the blue crystal glitches into, red, blue, and green, are all visible on Darkiplier. So actually, now that I think about it, why is there green on Darkiplier? I mean, the blue and red's obvious, red for Celine, blue for Damien, I've already said that many times throughout this video, but why is there all of a sudden green and all these other different shades of colors in a date with Markiplier? Now, I kind of feel like there are 2 solutions to this question. The first one is that Darkiplier has successfully killed Antisepticeye, therefore combining both the Jacksepticeye and Markiplier lore about alter egos and having whatever Antisepticeye is, because I don't know the Jacksepticeye lore, now possessing Darkiplier as well.
This needs to stop now!
I am far too clueless in the Jacksepticeye lore to start talking about anything Jacksepticeye related, so let's go ahead and move on to what the other possibility could be. Now, I doubt that these extra colors on Darkiplier represent other souls now possessing Darkiplier. I just don't think there's enough proof for that to be the case. Instead, it could possibly mean something more symbolic. Like, what if it means that Celine and Damien are starting to be less and less like their usual selves, and they're starting to focus more on just getting the long-awaited revenge on Actor Mark. Whatever it is, I'm willing to bet that it's nothing too important, and it probably doesn't have anything to do with extra people starting to possess Darkiplier or something. I highly doubt that. I also highly doubt that it has anything to do with Antisepticeye, because if it does, that would just open up a whole nother can of worms that just deserves its own theory or 2. So yeah, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy. As always, if you have your own theories or if there's anything you think that I got wrong, make sure to correct me or put your own thoughts in the comments down below. And I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.